Hey y'all, it's your girl Maj with the DMV Daily, and I'm really excited to be chatting with Miss Arial Robinson, who is the designer of the North Carolina A&T new Nike Dunks. Hello, Miss Arial, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. I'm super excited to be chatting with you today to learn all about your creative process for designing this new shoe. How are you feeling today?
Feeling great. I'm super happy to be here and talk about this project. So thank you so much for having me.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so let's dive right in. Ariel and I are both North Carolina A&T. She's still currently a student.
Yes.
I am a graduate, so we are feeling the Aggie Pride, and homecoming is right around the corner. So we are definitely feeling that Aggie Pride here. So let's jump into the conversation, Ariel, because I'm really excited to talk about your creative process. So the new Nike Dunks, that North Carolina A&T Nike Dunks, that is going to get me every time.
No worries.
These were modeled after the new student center. Is that correct?
Yes.
So they were modeled after the new student center. Tell me about what inspired that design. Why did you choose the student center to model this design after? And let me say, I came from the old student union age. So, so this is totally new for me. All of us are super jealous because we're like, y'all don't know the struggle. Y'all got the student center. So let's talk about what inspired this design, why the student center, all those good things.
For sure. So whenever I was approached to have this opportunity, we wanted to tell a nuanced story. And so I wanted to tell something that is specific to A&T, but also reflects the totality of the campus. And I spent way too much time in the student center. I was there when the ribbon cutting on September 20th, 2018. And so I remember going up the stairs for the first time and seeing what, so many Aggies before me had waited so long to, experience. So to be there and feel the energy and then go back every single day and meet new people and cry and sweat and, shed blood in this place. And so I wanted, when I got this opportunity to tell this story, I wanted to really focus in on a physical space that has cultivated my time at A&T, because everybody knows that HBCUs are physical places for Black people. Like, we didn't have those opportunities to go to these other universities or populate in these certain places. So HBCUs was created to be that safe space. And I'm feeling that literally centuries later when I am on campus. So when I had the idea, I wanted to do something that could also be extremely versatile. The student center was something that really encompassed an actual experience and submersed people within the university, and not just a ploy like, oh, this is that, this is this. Like, no, it's a real thing that actually exists, and there are memories and experiences around it.
Yeah, that's so special that you mentioned being there during the ribbon cutting. I was actually a part of the ceremony for the demolition of the former student union. So this right here is like full circle.
Yeah.
But, that's so interesting that you talked about, being able to, or picking something on campus, something tangible, something physical on campus that really encompassed kind of the student experience, and really talking about and honing in on just how much time you spend in the student center. So you mentioned sort of like memories and experiences, right? So what feelings, what memories, what experiences, what thoughts do you want to incite through this design? What is it that you want, this design to represent?
For sure. So I would say that whenever I was doing my research and learning more about the Memorial Student Union, first off, like, the pictures I've seen were like super magical to just see the way that students were so carefree and reflected in their respective decades. And so I remember I came across an article. So the Memorial Student Union opened May 13th, 1967. And on June 1st, 1967, an article in the A&T Register came out. And so it was a letter to the editor. It was written by Willie Drake. And he talked about how the union felt like joy in the morning, joy in the evening, joy at night, and joy all the time. And so I'm like, him having that same feeling that I feel when I might not be feeling my best, and I go into the student center and there are people like sitting on the first floor and they're my friends and we get to sit down and talk and eat. Feeling that joy even when you're down and being able to find it is something that I want people to experience, because I experience it so much. So really just joy. I want people to feel joyous that their stories are real and there are things that should be shared, and they're not just like this like figment of our imagination. So I definitely want people to feel joy, because that's what I felt when I physically go to this building. And I hope that this shoe inspires people to go visit the building too, and go to A&T and bring their kids to A&T and come to GHO and experience Greensboro, because it's not, again, just this like thing we prop up and be performative. Like, no, we want the experiences to follow through on all aspects. So that's how I want people to experience the shoe and experience our campus.
Yes, come on. We love to see you doing your research. That is so amazing. And I love the idea of joy, like just being on campus when you think about A&T, when you're sharing your experiences about A&T, when you're hearing the uncles and the aunties and the old voting light sharing their experiences.
Yes.
When you're home for GHO and you just feel that sense of just like joy, family, safety is what we want to get, from this design. So I love that. Now, so we've talked about feelings, we talked about experiences, we've talked about sort of that inspirational piece. Take me through sort of that creative process for you, that tangible, physical, creative process of, I want the yellow to go here, I want this to be on the shoelaces, I want this to be great. Like, take me through that full creative process. What did that look like for you?
For sure. So it was a lot more unconventional than most people. So I started it in my bedroom. So I was at home on my iPad. They sent me over a file, and then I just started racking my brain for different things that I thought would really touch me, but also like touch a lot of people, and a lot of people would be able to resonate with. So I literally just pulled up like pictures from Google of the student center, and I'm like, okay, we need to make sure that like this color is the color of cement, because like it's a physical thing. It's solid. I want it to look like the cement of the building. I want to take this like beautiful award-winning architecture and translate it into a shoe. So like when you have this shoe, you'll see that like there's these kind of like purplish, like warm undertones to like one of the grays, and it's because it is cement. And then you have like the different layers. I also went on, like I did some more research. So Vine's Architecture with Canon Design, along with Stewart Incorporated, they're the ones who built the actual student center, and it's an award-winning building. So like going on their websites and seeing their perspective of this like amazing structure they created, and then also seeing like those scans and those sketches and those prints and pulling from that as well. So when you look at their scans and their sketches, you'll see a lot of gray and yellow and green. And it's because like they specifically wanted it to be this like more futuristic type of thing that's nodding to the future of the university, Black culture, our society in general. And then you also see that iconic yellow. And so having that like bright color, because usually when people think about school colors, they don't want to do too much of that lighter tone, but they're like, no, we're going to put this yellow, this big bright yellow through the building. And then the green for the grass is showing that we are an agriculture school and that the environment around us is extremely important. So we have these 3 different sectors. And so I'm like, okay, we're going to translate that. So not only are we thinking about the experience, but we're thinking about the physical structure of how we're upkeeping these experiences, and how do we translate that into our fashion. That was a lot of the things that was going through my head, but it really just started on the computer, had some meetings with Nike. They went and translated my idea into a more high resolution type of thing. And then we went into the shoe process. So they really took care of me, because I am in school and I didn't get to physically like be on the Nike campus like other designers. I had to really dig in deep and really trust my team to help me bring it to life.
Love that. Sis said, I can get my degree first. Okay,
right.
Nike, you have to wait. Now tell me, what was that like working with Nike? What was that experience like working with Nike, even though you were not on campus, you were, at A&T?
Yeah, it was great. You're like surrounded by, it's similar to being at an HBCU. You're surrounded by all these people who are the best thinkers in their cities, in their towns, in their homes. And so like, I felt extremely prepared going into working with Nike. I felt confident because like, I'm also a JOMC student, like journalism. So I'm a Crosby kid. And so we're taught to just really present ourselves with a certain like je ne sais quoi. So like when I'm in these meetings, I'm confident because I know that I've lived this experience and my professors have prepared me to be confident. But it was really smooth and easy, and they trusted me. And I appreciate that, because I know that like a lot of people may not understand, or like even when I'm talking to certain people, but once I really like show them the idea all the way through, and that it's not just this like instant moment or this like one-dimensional like experience, they really trust my vision. So I appreciated that.
Yes, Crosby kids, baby, they set us up, don't they? They
right.
set us up. Now, did you get a chance? I know that you were not physically there, but did you get a chance to work with the other women designers?
I didn't. So we had
Oh,
all created our designs on our own, and then I met them later in the process. But even within the short amount of time that I've known them, we've grown really, really close together. And so to hear like all of their designs and how like some of their similarities within some of the choices we make, and then there were some that were completely different. And so to see that like diversity and versatility in the way that our brains were thinking about our universities was really great. And I kind of appreciated being able to like hone in on my one own idea and then seeing how vastly different it might be from like FAMU or Clark Atlanta or Tennessee State. I really appreciated that. And so now we have this like lifelong connection, but it didn't come until later in the process.
yeah. Yeah. Now, what did it mean for you to be one of the 4 women designers of this collection?
It means everything, honestly. Again, it goes back to that trusting me and trusting my vision. And then also, I'm hoping that I can inspire other people to think critically about their experience and not just go for the obvious, to think surface level about what's going on at A&T and on HBCU campuses, because there's a lot of things that are happening where we are that aren't happening in the like outside in the world. Our culture is extremely unique. And so being able to like set the stage and let people know like you can do whatever you want, but whatever you do, make sure that it's not only different, but it like you are sticking by it and it's something you really care about. So it's really monumental, and I'm also just really blessed.
Come on, monumental. We love it. We love a monumental woman. Absolutely.
Thanks.
Congratulations to you on that. Now, you know how
Thank you.
Aggies are, and we know how just HBCU grads, alumni, students are, about their stuff.
Yeah.
And so I did see, some backlash online about the shoes, whether folks wanted more blue or they didn't like the design altogether. I've seen folks kind of compare the shoe to like other
Yeah,
designs. What's your response to that? What are your thoughts? What's your opinion on that? What's your response to that?
for sure. I would just say that my design is not the end all be all. A lot of times people are like, they feel like they have to choose, but you absolutely don't. If there's a shoe that you feel like serves your needs and you already have it, that's amazing. And if somebody else is like, you know what, I need that shoe and I need this shoe because I want that variety, I say go for it. Like, I don't ever want to be the only person. I want to have this community of people who are around me, who are thinking differently, who are creating things they're proud of, that tell greater stories and challenge people and make them think deeper about what's going on. I am happy. I get it. A lot of people are like, oh, at first they didn't even understand it all. And so it's like, now I can tell you like, no, it's actually a building turned into a shoe. And if these other colorways, you want those, I say go for it. I say support whatever you want to support. But at the end of the day, I promise I have Aggie's interests, best at heart. And now we're Aggies that didn't even know each other, and we're having this conversation about my experience. And hopefully other people will be like, oh yeah, like I was in the student center. On top of it, also garnering that like conversations, I also wanted people to be able to wear the shoe every single day. Like, no matter where you're going, whether you're going to a basketball game, you're going to be on campus, you're going to put on a suit and go to work. I wanted to create a shoe where no matter where you were at, you could put it on and rep your Aggie pride. And when people ask you about like, what does that logo mean? You're like, oh, actually, this shoe, it's a building on my college campus. When you're in Greensboro, you should go to Greensboro. You should visit this building. And now you're having a greater conversation. And I wanted to create something that was super versatile. So if you are on campus, G-Ho, just a regular game, or just you live there and you want to be Aggie head to toe, you have a shoe that still does go with that. And you could change out the laces. So like today I'm wearing blue laces because my outfit's a little bit more muted. But if I'm going like full on Aggie gear, I might switch it out and put my yellow laces in. Now we've got our yellow stairs that are going up our feet, and we've got our cemented grays, and we're cemented in history. I think I've accomplished everything that I wanted to accomplish, but I get it. Like, shoes are extremely subjective. And I get it. Everybody has an opinion. And I hope that a lot of those people who do have opinions get that same opportunity. I hope that something I did that they didn't like, that we can connect and that they can have an idea and bring it to life, because I don't want to be the only Aggie with the shoe. I don't want to be the only Aggie on a national platform. Like, no, I want people to come after me and tell their ideas. And if one day they decide, you know what, we're not going to focus on X and we're going to do Z, that they feel prepared and comfortable enough to like step into that new light and bring other people with them. So I get it, but I'm still like very happy with what I went with, because now I have people who came to the store and they're wearing the shoe every single day, no matter if they have Aggie gear or not. But technically they do have Aggie gear on because it's on their feet instead of on their shirt or their hat, So I feel accomplished.
As you should. I love the idea of being cemented in history. Oh my gosh, absolutely love that. And you touched on a really important point that shoes are subjective, right? Art is subjective, right? Like creativity is subjective. Like what you think of a design, it will be totally different from, what I think of a design. And I think it's so important that you made that point. And I think it's also important that as Aggies, we understand that we all have different experiences, right? Like you just talked about being at the ribbon cutting for the new student center. And I just told you I was at the demolition of the last Memorial Student Union. So our experiences are totally different. And I've actually only gotten to visit the student center once for a wedding. So it wasn't even like where I got the tour or anything like that. So imagine, folks who graduated with me or before me who haven't even stepped foot in the student center and are thinking about a design that is, duplicative of the design of the student center. And it's like, I've never been there, but I think it's important to know, the feelings that you want to incite from the design, right? When we talked about that joy of being, in whatever A&T experience that you're in or we're in, or that you can remember, I think that's where we want to sort of hone in on and emphasize, whether that's like, the joy that you experience in the Memorial Student Union, the joy you experience, during GHO, the joy you experience in, talking to a professor that gave you an opportunity or that believes in you, whatever that may be. I think that's what's important to really emphasize is what we really want the design of the shoe to represent.
Also like,
go ahead.
I would say that like, even if there are people who like have never experienced it, I hope that they know that like all of their hard work paid off. And this is what it looks like now. It's like, I know people remember going to A&T maybe 10, 20 years ago, and there were certain problems or certain things that we're dealing with, not only as a university, but like as a culture and as a society. And so it's like, you went to this HBCU so that you could become like self-love, or you could follow your dreams or really give back to the community. And so that was a labor of love. And I hope people know that like, that labor is paying off. And now we have this beautiful, nice building that we want you to come to. Like, we want you to be a part of that because you did the work before for it to set us up. So I want to say thank you to those people too, because like without them, this story wouldn't still be continuing. It wouldn't be happening. We wouldn't have this amazing award-winning structure to even call home if they hadn't, walked in those steps before.
Yeah, and that represents progression, right? Because thinking of the old Memorial Student Union and thinking of where we've come to now, just imagine how much better GHO will be, right? And how much, how much improved the campus, has come to. So, it's so important that you mentioned that. And on the flip side, right, of the backlash, you've gotten a ton of support. Like, I mean, post after post after post, I've been like stalking, like, oh my God, this girl is it. What does that support mean to you? When you think about, representing A&T, in this way that is special to you, something that you're passionate about, you get to represent A&T, be one of the, 4 women designers of this collection, and you've gotten a ton of support. What does that mean to you?
It feels great. Like, I know that there is backlash, there is backlash, but the love definitely outshines that, because people, they're invested in my story just as much as I'm invested into this school. And so they believe in me and they care about the ideas and things that I am putting out, which is so amazing, because as Black women, sometimes we don't feel like humans and we don't feel like we can live within our full selves. And then I go to this school and now all these people are like, here supporting me, telling me that I can do it, wanting to connect me, because it was an Aggie who, like, in the beginning of my journey was like, hey, I know this person that works at Nike, you should just connect with her. And so then she's like, oh no, you should connect with this person. And so being able to like say like, yeah, no, this school is a part of like all the reason why I am where I am, because they've nurtured me and they've given me this opportunity. And even when you have that logo on your foot, you don't have to have nothing else. And if you got that logo, people are already connected with you, like it's embedded within like the story and the connections and the community. And so it just feels so good. And I'm just so blessed and thankful that people like really care about what I'm doing and that they want to share it and that they want to be a part of it too.
I love that. We care, honey. We care. We care what Aggies are doing, especially when you are, just making monumental steps in the community and you're putting A&T on the map. Like, we care about those things. Now, you mentioned this a little bit. You said something about, having blue laces, right? Because, you say your style is a little bit muted today. Tell me about your personal style. How does it relate to sort of the design of the shoe? Tell me about that.
Yeah. So I I really like workwear. I really like cardigans and dressing like an old school professor. That's like my favorite thing. Like I love putting on like jeans and like these like boxy blazers. So when it translates into architecture, I like things that are like very clean, but at the same time, like if you want to throw a lot on top of it, you can. So like for me, I always keep my living room like very blank and simple. And then you go in my room and it's like somebody just like shouted on you. And so I think that's kind of how my clothes are too, like having a more muted shoe. And then I could play around with like my clothes. Or today, like it's a little bit more of a muted outfit, but if I'm getting really dressed up, I love to play with color and texture and shape and layering. And so having a shoe that doesn't do too much, but does enough to like seal the look off, that's like my favorite thing. And so people can really play around with their clothes. And I like that. I think that's cool.
Would you do this again?
Oh, absolutely. And I'd like do the exact opposite. I'd like be like, okay, you know what? We're going maximalism because at this, like for this project, we weren't really allowed to use like certain textures or certain things. We wanted to keep it, pretty solid. But if I did it around two and we added on a few more things or we went a different route, I'm not going to be predictable. I'm going to create something completely different. I'm going to tell a completely different story because like, why do it again when you can do it a different way? So I'd absolutely do it again and I'd go in a completely different route.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Let me back up a little bit. I meant to ask you something. Your bio says I designed a shoe in between classes. What was that workload like? Was it complicated kind of managing? Uh-oh.
So the actual shoe process wasn't that much, but I designed it fall semester last year. And that semester was just like, I don't know, it just seemed like a lot was going on. But like it wasn't really hard to balance the two. But I would say when I was doing my homework, I'm like, okay, we got to figure this out. Also, because my team was so great, they didn't make it hard on me. I was able to dedicate more time to figuring out my life because you know how hectic it gets during the semester. But they made it super easy on me, just communicating with me through the whole process, having those meetings, asking me more questions about like this specific place. So I knew from the top to bottom the story I wanted to tell and what it meant. I can tell you every single speck of the shoe because we really worked with it, but it wasn't a process that was too strenuous.
Got it. And you mentioned earlier, right, Crosby Kids. So you are majoring in journalism and mass communication, but you designed a shoe on the side. Is this a passion project? Is this like, are you like a fashion designer on this? Like, what is that? Tell me about that.
Yeah, so I'm not a fashion designer. I'm more of a storyteller. It just happened that the story was through a shoe this time, but it might not be through a shoe. It might be through something else. Sometimes it's through clothing, sometimes it's not. It depends on what that story is and what medium I think would make the most sense. Also, who's going to invest in this project? And so it's like when you do have a collaborator, thinking about their history and what's going on with them and how do you guys tell a seamless story that exists in the sneaker world or in the author world, because I'm like an author of a book. So it's like that process of like creating my book, publishing it, marketing is a lot differently than a shoe. But at the same time, it's like, it's a story. To me, it's just a story. So I don't make clothes on the side, but there's no telling if I would. I might. It just depends.
We'll be on the lookout.
Yeah.
Now, Ariel, before I let you go, what do you want to be remembered by? What do you want people to know about A&T through this campaign?
Yeah. I just hope that they know that I'm a real person and that my experience is real and that this is a real school. And I hope that like it inspires other people to come onto the campus. And I hope they remember me as somebody who maybe like brought A&T to their awareness through a project, or they were on campus and we had a conversation and I was able to help them garner an idea that was in the back of their brain. Hope people just remember me, my physical existence. That I like to be in these places and that I like to physically give myself to something because I care about it and it's so close to my heart. But I'll hope I also am remembered by just being a good person and using my art for greater and not just thinking about like myself, but considering myself, but also submersing people in other places and really just putting them in a story. Hope people can remember me by that.
They will. They absolutely will. You are definitely making your mark there. Now, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, it goes live to the public October 25th. Is that right?
Yes, on the Sneakers app.
On the Sneakers app.
Mhm.
All right, so that's what I was getting ready to ask. Tell us where we can learn more about you, where we can follow you, and then folks, make sure y'all go and get this new Nike Dunk
Yes.
on the sneakers app. Okay, now tell us where we can follow you.
Yeah, so my Instagram is I'm.Arial, so IM.ARIAL. And then my Twitter is Honest Ari, so honest and then ARI. And my website is arialrobinson.com. And from arialrobinson.com, you can learn more about my platform, Solar Lab, which is just kind of like my portfolio to just showcase all the things that I'm doing. So if people want to learn more about the like specific process of creating the shoe, I have an article written down to like my sketches, what I was thinking about for every spec of the shoe. And then I have some more content coming where people can learn more about how to style them for all of their styles and really like be submersed within the shoe.
Yes, well, y'all make sure y'all go and follow Miss Arial like the fonts, okay?
Yes.
And y'all go support her, support A&T, and go get this new Nike Dunk off the sneakers app.
Yes, off the sneakers
October
app.
25th. Yes. Well, Arial, thank you so much for chatting with me today just about your creative process, what this means for you, what this means for A&T, and all those good things. I appreciate you so much.
The pleasure is all mine.
Awesome. Let me start recording.